Hello, scholars. Welcome back to another session of GEC4 Purposive Communication. Once again, this is Dr. Alex, your course facilitator. Today, we are stepping into what I like to call the inner circle of higher education. We are moving into a very specialized and high stakes area of our course communication for academic purposes. As university students here at Isabela State University, you must realize that you are no longer just learners who absorb information from a textbook. You are now transitioning into the role of knowledge creators, whether you are pursuing a degree in the College of Arts and Sciences, sharpening your technical skills in engineering, or preparing to revolutionize our local industry in agriculture. You need a structural guide. You need a blueprint that allows you to write, cite, and present your findings in a way that the global academic community respects and trusts. Think of today's session as a masterclass in building intellectual structures. We aren't just writing papers or essays anymore. We are engineering knowledge that has the power to solve real world problems. Let's begin our construction. First, we must acknowledge a major shift in your academic life, the academic transition matrix. Many of you are still carrying your high school habits into your university classrooms. In high school, communication was often conversational, personal, and opinion heavy. Your primary goal back then was simply to express your personal thoughts and complete an assignment to get a grade. But here at ISU, the approach is fundamentally different. It is formal, highly structured, and, this is the most important part, strictly evidence based. In the scholarly world, we do not have the luxury of saying, I think or I feel, unless we have a credible source or a data set to back it up. Our purpose has shifted from just finishing a task to building a foundation of shared knowledge that others can use. Look at the bridge metaphor on the slide. This is crucial to understand. In university, communication is not about painting a quick, pretty picture of your opinions. It is about engineering a bridge made of facts and logic. This bridge must be strong enough for other scholars, professors, and professionals to safely cross. If your bridge, your research, is weak, or if it lacks the steel beams of evidence, it will collapse the moment it faces peer review. Peer review is when other experts look at your work to see if it is true and solid. If you want to be part of ISU's mission to develop globally competitive human and technological resources, you must master this shift. It starts with how you treat your data and how you respect the truth. Phase one of our construction process is the blueprint. In the professional world, academic papers are not random collections of your thoughts or feelings. They are carefully constructed, logical arguments built entirely on evidence. To ensure that your work is clear, credible, and universally understood, scholars across the globe use a standard architectural plan called the IMRAD format. IMRAD is an acronym that stands for Introduction, Methods, Results, and Discussion. Why do we use this specific pattern? Because it is the global language of research. It allows a scientist in the United States or a researcher in Europe to open a study done right here in Eshage, Isabela, and understand it instantly. They don't have to guess where your data is. They know exactly which section to look in. Over the next 4 slides, we are going to break down each part of this structure. We will treat the IMRAD format as if we were building a house, starting with the foundation, moving to the scaffolding, selecting the building materials, and finally finishing the interior design. If you master this blueprint, you will be able to write for any international journal. Let's start with the letter I for introduction. This is the foundation of your entire paper. Just like a real house, if your foundation is weak, the whole structure will eventually crack and fall. In this section, you aren't just saying hello to the reader, you are performing a critical task. You are setting the stage for your research. You must answer 2 vital questions for your audience. What is the specific problem we are trying to solve? And why should the reader care about this? This is where you provide the review of related literature, showing what other people have already discovered. Most importantly, your introduction must lead the reader toward your thesis statement or your research question. This is the anchor of your foundation. Think of it like this. Imagine you are researching a new organic way to plant rice to help our local farmers in Isabela. Your introduction shouldn't just talk about rice in general. It should explain the specific problems farmers are currently facing, perhaps high costs of chemical fertilizers, and then clearly state how your research aims to solve that specific problem. You are clearing the ground and preparing the foundation before the actual construction begins. Without a clear introduction, your reader is lost before the first floor is even built. Next, we move to M for methods, which we call the scaffolding. This is often the most technical and detailed part of your blueprint. It is a repeatable, step by step plan of exactly how you conducted your study. In the methods section, you must describe your participants, who you studied, your tools, the equipment or surveys you used, and your procedures, what you actually did, with extreme, almost boring detail. You might wonder, why do I need to be so specific? The answer is the heartbeat of science: replicability. Replicability means that if another scholar reads your methods section, they should be able to do the exact same experiment in the exact same way to see if they get the same results. If you hide your methods, people will think your research is fake or untrustworthy. Think of it as a recipe for a cake. If you tell me to bake a cake, but you don't tell me the oven temperature or how many eggs to use, my cake will fail. In the same way, if you are testing a new fertilizer on corn, you must state exactly how many grams you used, the type of soil, and how many liters of water were applied every day. If you leave out these measurements, your research loses its value. The scaffolding must be strong enough for others to stand on. Now we reach R for results. These are your building materials. In this section, we want the raw facts, the pure data, and only the truth. Notice the image of the bricks on the slide. Just like bricks are the basic units of a wall, data points are the basic units of your research. This section must be completely fluff free. In the results section, you do not tell stories and you do not give opinions. You simply report what the data showed during your experiment. This is where you use tables, charts, and graphs to summarize your findings visually. If your survey found that 80% of ISU students prefer online modules over printed ones, you state that number clearly. You don't say, I was happy to find that, or it's sad that. You stay objective. A very common mistake for beginners is trying to explain why something happened in this section. Resist that temptation. Don't decorate the house yet. Just show us the bricks. We will explain the why in the next section. Here, your job is to let the numbers, the percentages, and the raw evidence speak for themselves without any filter. Finally, we reach the letter D for discussion. This is the interior design and interpretation. This is where you finally get to answer the most important question in academia: so what? Your results section gave us the raw bricks, but the discussion section tells us what the building actually means and how we should live in it. This is where you explain the significance of your findings. You analyze the data. Did your results support your original thesis? Were there any surprises that you didn't expect? If your organic fertilizer didn't work as well as the chemical one, this is where you explain the possible reasons why. This is also where you connect your new house to the rest of the neighborhood. In academic terms, you compare your results with what other scholars have found in the past. You might say, unlike the study by Santos in 2021, our findings suggest that. Furthermore, a good discussion section includes the limitations of your study, honestly admitting what you couldn't control, and recommendations for future researchers. You are providing the context, the interior meaning, and the future purpose of your raw data. You are turning those cold, hard bricks into a warm, functional home for ideas. This is where your voice as a scholar finally emerges to guide the reader through the meaning of the work. Now that we have the structure of our house, we must secure it so it doesn't get blown away by criticism. This is phase two: securing the structure through APA citation. Academic writing is never done in isolation. It is always built on the work of those who came before us. We call this standing on the shoulders of giants. To be an honest and respected scholar, you must give credit to the original creators of the ideas, data, or words that you use in your paper. If you take someone else's idea and pretend it is yours, you are committing plagiarism. Plagiarism is the academic equivalent of theft. In the professional world, it can lead to you losing your job or even facing legal issues under the Cybercrime Act or intellectual property laws. It ruins your reputation instantly. In this course and in most social sciences, we use the APA, American Psychological Association, 7th edition format. Many students think APA is just a boring list of commas, periods, and italics, but it is much more than that. It is a system of intellectual honesty. When you cite a source, you are telling your reader, my bridge is not just floating in the air, it is anchored to these proven facts from these respected experts. Proper citation makes your argument much stronger, more credible, and significantly safer for other scholars to cross. It shows you have done your homework and that you respect the community of knowledge you are now entering. So, how do we actually include other people's ideas without just copy pasting? We use the paraphrasing engine. Remember, my dear students, copy pasting is not writing, it is just moving text. To be a scholar, you must process information. We use the 4R method to do this correctly. First, read. You must understand the original text deeply. Don't just look at the individual words, look for the core message. If you don't understand the idea, you cannot paraphrase it. Second, rewrite. This is the test of a true scholar. Put the book or the website away so you can't see it. Then, explain the idea in your own words, using your own unique sentence structure. Third, review. Now compare your version to the original. Did you accidentally use the same three or four words in a row? If so, change them. Did you keep the original meaning? That is the goal. Fourth, reference. This is the step most students forget. Even if the words are yours, the idea still belongs to the original author. You must add the APA citation, usually the author's last name and the year of publication. Let's look at an example. The original might say, the sky appears blue because of the way sunlight interacts with the atmosphere. A poor paraphrase would be, the sky is blue because of sunlight and the atmosphere. That's too close. A scholarly paraphrase using the 4R method would be, Smith, 2023, observes that atmospheric conditions and the scattering of light result in a blue hue. You've kept the truth, but you've processed it through your own mind and credited the source. That is how you fuel your scholarly engine. Sometimes you don't need the detailed power of the whole engine, you just need a summary snapshot. It is important to understand that summarizing is different from paraphrasing. While paraphrasing is about rewriting a specific point or a few sentences, summarizing is about condensing a large text, like a whole 20-page chapter or an entire book, into its most essential main ideas. When you summarize, you leave out all the minor details, the examples, and the extra info. You focus only on the big picture. Think of it this way. Imagine you just watched a 2 hour blockbuster movie. When your friend asks what it was about, you don't repeat every single line of dialogue or describe every minor character. That would take another 2 hours. Instead, you give them the snapshot of the plot. It was a story about a hero who saved the world from an alien invasion. In academic writing, summaries are incredibly useful because they help you save space. They allow you to acknowledge the important work and conclusions of other researchers without getting bogged down in their specific data. It shows your reader that you have zoomed out and understood the entire landscape of the topic. We have spent a lot of time building our paper and securing it with the steel beams of citations. Now comes the final exciting phase. Phase 3, the broadcast. Once you have constructed knowledge, you must present your findings to an audience. In the university setting, a scholarly presentation is a specialized performance. It is not just standing up and reading your paper out loud, that would be boring. Instead, it is a strategic mix of two things: a compelling narrative, which is the story of your discovery, and visual anchors, which are your slides. Your primary goal is to move the audience from a state of not knowing to a state of understanding. You are the guide taking them across the bridge you just built. Remember, your audience is usually made up of busy scholars, professors, or fellow students. They don't want to see you struggle with your notes. They want to hear your passion and see your data clearly. A truly great presentation doesn't just report the paper, it shares the moment of discovery and explains why that discovery matters to the world. You are broadcasting your intellect. To ensure your broadcast is organized and easy to follow, you should always use this simple but powerful three-step strategy. This is a classic communication technique that works in any professional setting. Step 1 is the introduction. Tell them what you are going to tell them. You need a hook to grab their attention, introduce your team, state your research goal clearly, and provide a map of your presentation. This makes the audience feel safe because they know where you are taking them. Step 2 is the body. Tell them, this is the meat of your presentation. This is where you present your methods and your key results. But here is the golden rule. Do not read your slides. Your slides are anchors, not scripts. Use your voice to explain what the charts represent and what the most important numbers are. If you just read the text on the screen, your audience will get bored and stop paying attention to you. Step 3 is the conclusion. Tell them what you told them. Never just stop talking and say, that's all. You must summarize your main points one last time. Reinforce your big takeaway, the one thing you want them to remember tomorrow. Finally, formally open the floor for questions. If you follow this tell them, tell them loop, your audience will never be lost. They will follow your bridge from the first step to the very last one, and they will leave the room with a clear understanding of your hard work. When you are broadcasting, your slides are meant to be anchors for the audience's eyes, not a script for your mouth. To ensure they are effective, you should follow the 666 slide anatomy. The 666 rule is a simple guideline. Use a maximum of 6 lines of text per slide and a maximum of 6 words per line. This keeps your slide simple, clean, and legible. If your slide is full of tiny text and long paragraphs, a psychological effect called cognitive overload happens. Your audience will stop listening to your voice because they are struggling to read the screen. You lose them instantly. Instead, prioritize visuals over text. For example, if you are presenting about the agriculture industry here in Isabela, don't write a paragraph about crop yields. Instead, show a colorful bar graph or a map of our province. Human brains process images 60,000 times faster than text. Graphs and photos communicate complex data instantly and leave a lasting impression. Finally, maintain professional design. This means using clean, sans serif fonts and a consistent color scheme that isn't distracting. Avoid flashy animations that don't add value. Your slides are there to help the audience understand your voice, not to replace it. You are the expert on the stage. The slides are just your supporting evidence. Keep them sharp, keep them simple, and they will anchor your message in the minds of your listeners. As we conclude today's masterclass, I want you to understand that academic communication is not a one way street or a single project. It is an infinite loop. It is a living, breathing ecosystem that you are now a part of. The cycle starts when you consume and process the knowledge that already exists through reading, paraphrasing, and summarizing. Then you construct your own unique building block, your research, using the IMRAD format we discussed. You secure that block to the past using APA citations, ensuring your bridge is anchored to the truth, and finally, you broadcast it to the community so others can hear what you have found. But it doesn't end there. Once you broadcast your work, the next scholar will consume and process your ideas and they will start the cycle all over again. This is how science and society move forward. By contributing to this loop, you are helping ISU fulfill its mission to develop globally competitive resources for the ASEAN region and the world. You are now part of a global conversation that has been happening for centuries. By using this scholarly blueprint, you ensure that your specific contribution is strong, respected, and lasting. Your voice matters, but only if you use the right tools to build it. Thank you for your focused attention today. I truly look forward to seeing the knowledge you will construct this semester.